James Paul McCartney, born on June 18, 1942, in Liverpool, England, grew up in a modest working-class household. His father, Jim McCartney, was a jazz musician and pianist, while his mother, Mary, worked as a midwife. Music surrounded Paul from an early age, providing him with both inspiration and comfort. The loss of his mother to cancer when he was just 14 left a profound mark on him, influencing the sensitivity and emotional depth that would later define his songwriting. At 15, Paul met John Lennon at a local church fete. Their shared love for American rock and roll and rhythm and blues sparked a friendship that would change music history. Together, they formed the Quarrymen, which evolved into the Beatles by the early 1960s. This period marked the beginning of Paul's journey as a musician who would merge personal experience with groundbreaking creativity. Rise of the Beatles. The Beatles emerged as a cultural phenomenon in the early 1960s, with Paul McCartney as a key figure in their meteoric rise. Alongside John Lennon, he formed one of the most iconic songwriting partnerships in history, crafting melodies that were at once catchy and emotionally resonant. With George Harrison and Ringo Starr completing the lineup, the Beatles transformed music, fashion, and social consciousness worldwide. As the band's bassist and co-lead vocalist, Paul brought innovation to every aspect of their sound. His melodic bass lines, wide vocal range, and inventive song structures became hallmarks of the Beatles' music. Songs like Yesterday, Hey Jude, and Blackbird showcased his ability to blend simplicity with profound emotion. Despite the relatively brief span of the Beatles' career from 1960 to 1970, the group's influence on popular culture was enormous, setting a standard that artists would strive to emulate for generations: musical innovation and creativity. Paul McCartney's role in the Beatles went far beyond performing. He was a musical visionary, experimenting with orchestral arrangements, tape loops, and psychedelic textures. Albums like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and Revolver showcased his ability to push boundaries and explore new sonic landscapes. His versatility allowed him to transition effortlessly from tender ballads to energetic rock anthems, cementing his reputation as a multi-dimensional artist. Paul's approach to music combined technical skill with emotional intelligence, creating songs that resonated with listeners on a deep level. He understood that music could be both innovative and accessible, appealing to a wide audience while still retaining artistic integrity. This balance of creativity and relatability became a defining feature of his career, setting him apart as a musician committed to both craft and expression. Post-Beatles career and wings. After the Beatles disbanded in 1970, Paul McCartney embarked on a highly successful solo career. He formed Wings with his wife, Linda McCartney, and other musicians, producing hits like Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, and Jet. Wings allowed Paul to continue experimenting while maintaining a commercial appeal, balancing his desire for artistic growth with a connection to the audience. Linda's presence in the band highlighted the depth of their partnership, both personal and professional, showing how love and collaboration could inspire creativity. Over the years, Paul continued to evolve, incorporating new sounds, technologies, and styles into his work. From introspective solo albums to ambitious genre-spanning projects, he demonstrated a willingness to explore uncharted musical territory, proving that innovation and longevity could coexist in a musician's career. Renewal in the 1990s and beyond. The 1990s marked a period of artistic renewal for McCartney. He reclaimed his creative vitality with projects that ranged from traditional rock to experimental electronic music. His collaboration with Youth and the Firemen allowed him to explore new textures and ideas, while albums like Off the Ground reaffirmed his enduring songwriting talent. Paul also began embracing classical composition, highlighting his versatility and commitment to growth. This period reflected both maturity and curiosity, illustrating that even a seasoned artist could find inspiration in new forms. By the early 2000s, Paul had become an exemplar of longevity, demonstrating that passion, innovation, and openness to collaboration were timeless qualities that fueled both his music and his influence across generations. Classical and experimental projects. McCartney's ventures into classical music and experimental sounds further showcased his artistic range. Works like Exe Cor Meum highlighted his ability to create complex, emotionally resonant compositions outside of the pop-rock framework. His continued collaboration with youth, producing albums like Electric Arguments, demonstrated a desire to innovate and embrace new technologies. These projects were not merely experiments, but sincere explorations of what music could express. Through them, Paul connected with listeners on intellectual, emotional, and spiritual levels, proving that creativity was not limited by genre or age. His willingness to challenge expectations reinforced his status as a lifelong learner and risk-taker, constantly pushing himself to explore uncharted musical landscapes. Advocacy and recognition. Beyond music, Paul McCartney's life has been marked by advocacy and humanitarian work. He has championed animal rights, vegetarianism, environmental causes, and various philanthropic initiatives. His commitment to these issues reflects a moral and ethical dimension that complements his artistic achievements. In 1997, he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II, becoming Sir Paul McCartney, an acknowledgement of his immense cultural contributions. Over the years, he has received countless awards, including 18 Grammy Awards and dual inductions into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Even in his later years, Paul remains an active performer, touring internationally and releasing new music, demonstrating that passion, creativity, and influence can endure across decades. Personal life and relationships. McCartney's personal life has often fascinated the public, particularly his romantic relationships. In the 1960s, he was considered one of the world's most eligible bachelors, attracting attention for his talent, charm, and charisma. His enduring relationship with Linda Eastman, whom he married in 1969, became a cornerstone of his personal and professional life. Linda's involvement in Wings and her support for Paul exemplified their deep connection. Together, they raised 4 children, nurturing a close-knit family environment despite the pressures of fame. Linda's death in 1998 was a profound loss, and Paul has spoken often of the love and partnership they shared, describing her as his soulmate and greatest supporter, a figure whose influence extended beyond music into the very fabric of his life. Later, relationships and stability. After Linda's passing, Paul sought companionship again. His marriage to Heather Mills in 2002 produced a daughter, Beatrice, but faced challenges that led to separation and a public divorce in 2008. Despite the difficulties, Paul remained devoted to his daughter, prioritizing her well-being and shielding her from media scrutiny. In 2011, he married Nancy Shevell, bringing stability and calm into his life. Their relationship, private and supportive, contrasts with the public scrutiny of his earlier years. Nancy has been a grounding presence, helping Paul navigate life's complexities while continuing to pursue his music and philanthropic work. This chapter of his life illustrates resilience, the ability to find love after loss, and the value of quiet, steady companionship. Tribute to Ricky Nelson. At 83, Paul McCartney has openly shared his admiration for fellow musician Ricky Nelson, reflecting on the impact Nelson had on his artistic journey. Growing up in Liverpool, Paul listened intently to Nelson's music on American radio, captivated by his smooth voice and emotional sensitivity. While other young fans gravitated toward louder, more energetic rockabilly styles, Paul was drawn to Nelson's introspective approach, which blended rock and roll with genuine feeling. Nelson's performances, especially songs like Lonesome Town, resonated deeply with him, teaching that pop music could convey emotional truth. McCartney also observed how Nelson struggled with the pressures of fame inspiring him to pursue artistic freedom and independence with the Beatles. Through this tribute, Paul not only honors Nelson's talent, but also highlights the interconnectedness of artists across generations, celebrating the emotional power of music as a bridge between lives and eras. Reflections and legacy. Paul McCartney's reflections on Ricky Nelson reveal a thoughtful, introspective side of the legendary musician. He admires Nelson's blend of talent and vulnerability and expresses regret over not collaborating with him, underscoring a deep respect and sense of kinship. This openness illustrates Paul's broader approach to life and music, valuing authenticity, connection, and emotional honesty. His own legacy, shaped by decades of innovation, collaboration, and personal growth, reflects a dedication to both craft and heart. Through his music, advocacy, and relationships, Paul has touched countless lives, leaving an enduring imprint on culture. His story demonstrates that even amidst fame and achievement, it is the sincerity of human experience, love, loss, admiration, and inspiration that defines a life well lived. Timeless inspiration. Even into his 80s, McCartney continues to tour, create, and inspire. Performances such as his 2022 Glastonbury appearance at age 80 exemplify his energy, joy, and artistic vitality. Paul's journey reflects a commitment to continuous growth, curiosity, and exploration, showing that creativity does not diminish with age. His musical legacy, personal experiences, and advocacy work collectively serve as a source of inspiration, reminding the world that passion, resilience, and dedication can transcend time. By embracing change, honoring influences like Ricky Nelson, and remaining connected to his own humanity, McCartney offers a model for living fully and creatively. He exemplifies how music, love, and perseverance can leave a lasting, transformative mark on the world.